Welcome to HOI3 with the Black Ice mod. Today I'll be showing you how the utility tool works. It's incredibly useful and you're not helping yourself if you don't use it. The utility tool appears as a separate program when you launch HOI3 with modern versions of Black Ice. The version I'm currently using is 11.3.5. If you're using an earlier version, the utility tool may not be there or have less menus compared to the 11.3.5 version. Now onto a general overview of the tool. Here is each menu and what they do. First is the setup, where you configure the tool and access the help menu. The production slider AI, where you configure your in-game IC allocation through the slider AI. Then you've got country info, where you can see the hidden modifiers on your nation. Leadership slider AI, where you configure your in-game leadership allocation through the slider AI. Puppets, where you can change the focus of your puppets. National focus, where you can set your national focus and see how many days you've been on it. Strategic resource, where you can see your strategic resource reserves. Minister buildings, where you can check your progress on special ministerial buildings. Strategic trades, where you can see your strategic resource trades. IC days, where you can see the current IC cost in days of spawned units and allocate IC amounts to be spent on them. Miscellaneous, hiding or showing certain events that may or may not be important to you. Trade AI, where you can manage the in-game automated trading AI to do what you want. And finally, special, for sprite removal to help the performance of Black Ice while you're playing it, or sprite reinstallation when you finish playing Black Ice and you'd like to play vanilla or other mods that require those sprites. I will now be going over each of these menus in depth. I will be adding bookmarks to this video, so if you don't care for a certain window, you can just skip it and continue watching the video. The one that we will look at first is the setup. Here you will make the utility tool assigned to your country so you can influence what it does. You just need to follow the steps at the top here. Start a game and wait till you load in. Select Get Players and click on the drop down menu above the button. Here you should see your country's tag. Click on it and then click Set Player. The utility tool is now set up for your game. The main thing you can change on this page is how often the utility tool refreshes its values. This is particularly noticeable on the Minister Buildings tab, where it updates as often as the automatic refresh. Aside from that, there's the Help menu, Options menu, and Game Info. The least important of the three are the Options menu and Game Info. The Options menu just allows you to change the location on the screen where pop-ups appear, and Game Info just shows you what traits do. Looking into the Help menu provides much useful information. In the Miscellaneous tab, it tells you some extra info about strategic resources and what units are airdroppable. The Unit Training tab tells you how the training laws work, how to change a unit's training level, the main restriction of the training laws, and what it modifies outside of the law itself. The Ministers plus Buildings tab is all about the special buildings you can get when you have certain ministers and national focuses. While you only need one minister to start production of a special building, having more increases the rate of production, and having the corresponding national focus doubles the rate of production. Production times will vary depending on the building, minister, and if you have the correct national focus. The bonuses these buildings provide can be located in the technology screen in-game within the industry research area under Nation. The Event Units tab just gives you info on how the IC days work when you get spawned units, what units with colored names indicate, and how events spawned enable units work. The National Focus tab tells you what modifiers are enabled when you reach certain day thresholds. The current number of days you've had a national focus for can be seen in the National Focus tab located on the main utility bar. Production Slider AI. This is the first major tool in the utility. It allows you to create a custom production slider AI, the PS AI, that can be modified in a few ways. The first way to modify the PS AI is to change the priority at which it allocates IC. Its base priority is the consumer goods first, then reinforcement, supply, upgrades, production, and finally Lend-Lease. It will continue until there is no more IC left to allocate. It's generally a good idea to keep the first and last priorities the same, because CG is quite important and Lend-Lease is quite the opposite. Each category must have a unique priority for it to work correctly. The second way to modify the PSAI is to change the amount allocated, which depends on the mode you choose, which is the third way to modify it. I'll look at the third modification since it changes how the second one works. You can set it to either percentage base or flat IC cost. If you have percentage base selected, then in the amount category, 100% will fulfill the current IC need of whatever it is you assigned it to. So if upgrades needs 125 IC, putting 100 into the amount category will make it so the AI tries to assign 125 IC. So if you have flat IC cost, Then in the amount category, 100 IC will be assigned even if the requirements are lower or higher than 100. The gold checkbox on the right hand side allows a small allocation of IC so you can reach the desired amount of supply stockpile. It seems to set around about an extra 10 IC for this role. It's up to you whether or not you want to do this though. The limit checkboxes on the right hand side aren't that important and shouldn't be touched in my opinion. The last checkbox is reduce descent. It will assign 50% more IC to consumer goods, so descent is lowered to 0. You'll need to manually check and uncheck this as it isn't done automatically. Country info. This menu contains some of the special modifiers that affect a country. The modifiers contained are IC efficiency, research efficiency, supply throughput, and war exhaustion. Leadership slider AI. This is the second major tool in the utility. It allows you to set your leadership expenditure. You only have 3 things to modify: officer percentage, spare spies, and spare diplo. When it comes to assigning the lower and higher values, higher is what the AI will try and reach, and lower is when it will activate the leadership spending, going from highest priority to lowest priority in the tool's point of view. The officer percentage dictates what the slider AI will try and get your officer ratio to. The buffer NCOs will make it spend 10 days creating around 500 extra officers. Spies will spend leadership until you have the number of spies you allocate as spare. So if you have lots of high priority nations you're spying on, it may take some time to get the number of spare spies desired. Diplo works the same as well, but it takes into account your current spending of said Diplo. Research will always be the last priority for the slider AI. When turning on the tool, the AI will not automatically go to research the next tech, like when you finish researching small arms and it just goes to the next level. So you will need to make sure you have research assigned for it always. Puppets. In this menu, you can select your puppets and modify their focuses. There are 8 puppet focuses. 4 of these are resource-based, rares, energy, metal, and oil. 3 of them are military-based, Navy, Air, and Army, and the last one is none, which means it has no focus. The last thing in this menu is whether you want the puppet focus event in-game. National focus. This menu gives you information about national focuses, and you can also activate focuses from this menu. Under each national focus, you can see how long a particular one has been active. Inactive focuses that were previously active will still be active, but reduced by 1 point per day until they reach 0. Strategic resources. This menu shows your current balance of strategic resources, what sales you're making, what you're buying, and if you're currently allowing other nations to buy a particular strategic resource you have. Minister buildings. This menu shows your current progress towards a new ministerial building. The percentage increases will depend on what ministers you have and what national focus you've selected. Strategic trades. This menu just shows what strategic resource trades you're currently making. This will help you see who you're currently buying from or selling to, what resource is being traded, and how long until the trade is finished. Miscellaneous. This menu is for the random events and functions that don't fit in the other menus. IC days. This menu is for keeping track of costs incurred by event spawned units. IC days are added when you get event spawned units. To reduce IC days, you need to have a percentage investment of your current total IC. It's set at 20% base, but it can go up to 60% at 10% increments. The higher the investment, the less time it takes, but the more disruptive it is in the short term. How you choose to reduce your IC days is up to you, but you can't avoid it. Trade AI. The trade menu in the utility tool allows you to pretty much automate all of your trade. There's 3 things you need to know about the automated trade function, which are mentioned in the menu. 1. It won't be exact, but it will try its best. 2. It trades primarily your supplies for money. 3. To activate it, you need to enable automated trading in-game. You can set the daily surplus desired by changing each resource's corresponding box. The trade AI will then try and match the number you put in. Once you are 10% more than the inputted stockpile for a resource, the AI will stop trading for that resource. Once you get to the sell above number of a particular resource, it will start selling it to the limit of the max daily deficit until you reach close to your stockpile number. Money is different from the other resources. It has no stockpile value. The AI will try and get 100 to 150% of the surplus value you entered, selling supplies first to try and reach the number. Be mindful though, as the AI does not keep track of the IC cost of supplies, so you'll need to monitor it yourself. Special. This menu has the option to remove or restore sprites. It's highly recommended to remove them as it saves about 300 megabytes of RAM, which improves the performance of the game. Instructions on how to do it are on the side here, you just need to be in the main menu for it to work. You can reinstall the sprites once you finish playing with Black Ice and want to play vanilla or another mod. This wraps up the utility tool and everything it does. I hope this is helpful and allows you to trust it more easily.